All right, everybody. Today I am going to be showing you some Suno workflows for making songs. And this is going to be specifically around if you are trying to build your music around your vocals. So if you're a rapper or a singer, you like the spoken word, whatever it is, these are kind of the workflows that I'm using Suno for. And I'm going to be sharing one of them today. And I will also share a Google Doc of the other workflows that I'm experimenting with. So if you can see these 6 squares here, this is more of a general theme of the workflow that I kind of like to have the mindset for. So I'm going to go through each of these first, and then I will show you the workflow specifically that I'm doing. So the first one is to know your voice. And so I know it's kind of like starting from the basics, but like kind of know what range you have and also know your timbre, like your vocal color, because I think that sort of influences the sort of instruments you may want to put into the music you're making, so it kind of sounds better. All right, and so the second main theme here is prompting and iteration. So things I would recommend doing for this as you continue to experiment with your own workflows is to make templates and test the differences between those templates. Maybe you like to have them more structured, or maybe you're somebody that likes to just write a paragraph. I think both styles work fine. The other one would be terminology, and for this I would specifically say like production terminology, like music production terminology. If you're not familiar with some of the terms in music production or sound design, I would just describe what you're trying to make in the music to ChatGPT and ask it how to say it in a more professional way as if you're a music producer. And this way you're kind of learning as you create. So I would say like there's a common theme with AI in general, which is like having an expert in the room definitely helps. Like if you are already a software engineer or like a staff level software engineer, you have a ton of experience, you will be better able to prompt the models to code something that is more robust and probably works better than somebody that just started vibe coding last weekend. No offense to the person that just started vibe coding. The vibe coding is a great entry point, as Suno is a great entry point for people that want to learn how to make music, I think. And then the next one is Suno inputs. So I would get very familiar with the different kinds of inputs that Suno has, and we'll be looking at all of those in the workflow I show you after this part of the video. But essentially, you are able to input an audio reference. There's a style reference. You can put in your own lyrics. And there's also a sort of like a negative input. Like if you use Midjourney, it's the same as saying like, I don't want to see trees in this picture. You may say, I don't want to hear snare drums. And so you can say snare drums in the like the negative exclusion box. And then there's Suno inputs. So Suno inputs, which we'll go into more detail later on in the video, but essentially you can upload an audio reference if you want to. You can input your own lyrics. You can have a style description. You can also have an exclusion of styles. So this is stuff that you don't want to hear in the music. And if you're a user of Midjourney, you can sort of think of it like the negative prompting for Midjourney in the same way. Like if I'm making a picture and I don't want to see trees, I'll say like dash dash no trees. In Suno, it might be, hey, I don't want to hear hi-hats, or I don't want to hear snare drums. And so you'll put that in the exclusion style box. And then underneath that, there are 2 to 3 sliders, depending on if you have the audio input or not. So if you do have the audio input, there will be 3 sliders. If you don't, there will be 2. So the base 2 sliders are weirdness and style reference strength. So it's like weirdness is just how experimental the music is and the output is. The style strength is how strongly do you want the style description that you gave Suno to influence the output. And then finally, if you do have an audio input, it's going to be the audio reference strength, and that is similar to the style reference strength. So that would be like how strongly you want the audio to influence the output. So now moving on to like the third core component, and this kind of works for some of the workflows that I will be describing. And this will be more for like if you're just generating instrumentals and you want to come up with the melody just from your head and kind of write something and sing it over an instrumental that you make. Melody ramblings, it's really awkward, but it does help. So an example would be, I have a playlist of instrumentals that I've made, and I'll open up my voice note, and then I'll just go through the playlist. I'll just hit play, and then I'll just start mumbling, or like, blah, 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 like, okay, this is a melody, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll just start saying some words and even maybe freestyle a little bit of some lyrics that come to my mind, and then I'll go back and listen to my voice note, and I'll see which instrumental I liked the most, and then I'll pick that one. And this is an exploratory process, so it's like, what kind of instruments and rhythms do you most enjoy singing or rapping over, and what sounds the best with your voice? The next part that I want to talk about is writing your own lyrics, and this is something I'm going to strongly encourage anybody watching this video to do for several reasons. The first one is, if you use Suno a lot, and also if you're like a listener of music and you compare an actual artist's music to a song generated by Suno completely, like the lyrics and the music, it becomes easy to tell that one is AI generated fully and one is made by a real person. And that's because the person is writing about real stuff in their life, and there's more thought and intention behind the lyrics, versus the AI generated output is just not really there yet. So I would consider writing what's real, and also I would say, anecdotally, writing about stuff that's real to your life and then putting it into Suno and hearing it back. There is some level of satisfaction in that, to be honest, at least from my perspective. So I would highly recommend doing that for that reason as well. And then the next kind of like, I'll couple these points together. There's one extra point here with considering the ease of use for your voice, but I'll break it down into two things. So there's your breath, and then there's also like what is easier for you to actually say phonetically. So for the breath component, maybe you write a bunch of lyrics, like it's just a really wordy song, and you're not really a master of breath control. Maybe you just don't have the breath strength for it. You hear the Suno song and you're like, wow, I could sing that. And then you try to sing along with the song, and you're like, oh wait, like this song is like really good, but I just can't keep up with the vocals. Like I have to take more breaths. So keep that in the back of your mind when you're writing these songs, because AI can sing all day, every day. It doesn't need to take a breath. The next point that I kind of alluded to there is like phonetically, what is easier for you to say. And you'll notice this by writing lyrics. And that's why I also encourage you to write lyrics, because you'll start to notice what pairings of words allow you to transition more smoothly into the next one, versus which ones are more jarring, for whether it's like your mouth needs to like readjust really fast and like take a different shape, or you're at a really low note and then you have to go really high and it's not something you're really used to. AI, again, will be able to do that pretty much flawlessly at this point, but you may not to. And if you want to sing over these songs and kind of put your own vocals into these songs, you should think about what words flow into the next more seamlessly for you. And I'll leave it at that for now, because I want to show you the rest of the workflow, and I have two more things to talk about. The fifth one is getting the stems. This is just a very basic one, but there is a way to get all the stems from the songs on Suno, and if you aren't aware of that, maybe you are if you already use Suno, but this is for anybody that isn't familiar. This is actually really cool because it allows you to then extract each piece of the song or each piece of the music, and then you can take that into your own music editing software, whether that's like Ableton or Logic or any of the others, if you want to get more into the weeds on it and, adjust different things to make it sound better for you. And then the sixth one is, again, post-production, which I would recommend, I think, because I've found that you can make it sound cleaner if you just do a little bit of mixing on the stems after the song is made, instead of just using the generated output, because sometimes, maybe there's just a little too much shimmering going on, or there's like the drums are too loud, and so it's hard for your voice to kind of come through. And this way you can sort of separate out the stems and then adjust them so the frequencies aren't getting in the way of each other, so your vocals can actually come through clearly. So I will leave it at that for like the main components, and now I'm going to show you a workflow that I'm actually trying out that's more recent, that I have high hopes for, and we'll talk about how it works. So let's get into it. Okay, so now that we're here, I have my camera removed just so I can show you everything and my face isn't getting in the way. But this is what you will see when you click the Create tab on Suno Web. And you'll notice I have the custom tab selected versus the simple, which is probably, more for the casual user, somebody that just wants to say, make a song about blah, 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 and then get a song. But I prefer this one. This is just the interface that I have found works better for me in my workflow. And what we're going to be doing here is we are going to be uploading an audio reference of a melody that we come up with. We're going to generate a few outputs, and then we're going to take that and then kind of remaster it or do a cover of it so we can just get the instrumental of the song. And I'll kind of explain more of this as I go along if it's not clear yet, so let me show you what I mean. So I've selected a original audio clip that I sang into my phone, and we're just gonna kind of like hear it really quick. It's not the greatest, but here it goes, just this.
I'm spiraling down, and can you blame me? Making mistakes when my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine and say I'm changing.
Okay, so that is the clip, and we're going to extend this. You see I have the extend tab here. You can use the cover if you want. I prefer to just start with the extension. And what you'll notice now is what I'm doing is I'm going to paste in the lyrics of what I actually sang in that audio clip, and this I have found helps guide the outputs to keep the same sort of like rhythm of your voice, right? And so we're not making an instrumental yet. What we're doing is we're trying to get a reference track that has the right sort of sound that we want. And I've tried doing this with just making an instrumental, but it seems to be easier when you actually let the model generate the lyrics and generate a voice to go along with the instrumental, because this way the pockets for the vocals are more close to what I personally want in the final output. And then what we can do is we can make a cover of this song and just make it an instrumental, and then use that instrumental to then sing over for the final song that we make. So what I'm going to do here is I paste in the lyrics, and now you see Suno has like this kind of thing right here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Text Blaze, and I'm going to type in this prompt template I have, and this will be in the worksheet that I share in the description of the video. And I wouldn't get super stressed out about, your prompt templates. It's like, oh my God, like, is this like the most advanced thing ever? To be honest, I'm not really sure. This is just something that I like to do so I can standardize my style descriptions and then adjust subtle things to see if it changes anything. But I've also done something completely opposite to this. Like, this is more mechanical and just more, nitty gritty, but you can also do a paragraph. Like, if you wanted to say, if it's like a sad song, try to think of like one of those songs you hear, like you're at the bar and it's like, it's about to close and you're like, oh man, I didn't find anybody to hang out with, or like my friends all left and I didn't find anybody to go home with, or, I didn't have as good of a time. And then you hear like this song, you're like, damn, like this is just my life. Like, actually type that into the style description. Like, imagine a ballad you hear at, 1 a.m. as the bar is closing and you have nobody to go home with and you're like super sad about it. Because I find like there's two different ways you can think about it. You can think about it more mechanically, like in the production mindset of, I want these instruments, I want this vocal style, I want this, I want that. But you can also just use more of the right brain and describe the feeling more by describing, like, imagine this is where you're hearing it. Imagine this is what just happened to you. Imagine this is the, like, it's like 2010 and you just graduated middle school and you're out for the summer and you're hanging with your friends. Or, you just moved to a big city after college and you're super lonely. But anyways, before I go off on a tangent, let's just continue with this. So this is the prompt template that I will use generally if I'm just iterating really fast, because I like to test things granularly right now. And I also personally want to learn more about the actual technicalities of the production side of things. And so this helps me force myself to understand more of the production terminology and what it actually does. And so that this is kind of like a learning and creative process at the same time for myself. And so I'm just going to fill this in, and then once it's filled in, I will continue with the video. So let me just cut to it being filled in. Okay, so we have it filled in with the style description. So I just picked a BPM, like 110, the key A minor. And honestly, like if you know nothing about music, you can just ask ChatGPT to fill this in for me. Like say, here's what I like, here's the prompt template I want. Can you just fill this in? And I do that too. Like I'll go to ChatGPT and I'll be like, here's the prompt template, here's the genres and the style, and here's the lyrics I'm using. Give me 10 different prompts. Let me just test. Because I think something that's really cool about Suno is it's just letting you iterate faster and faster, which is going to help you develop your taste faster and faster, because you're going to hear more songs, you're going to hear more things that you like, you're going to see what you don't like, and you're going to start to sort of get a sense of what outputs you do like and how to achieve those outputs with the style descriptions. So for the genres, I like indie, pretty much indie, folk, pop, rock, but I also like rap. I like all kinds of music, but I wanted something that was like, you know, you could sing over, but maybe there's a little bit of a rapping part in it too. So that's why I kind of made the mood confident, but also introspective, because it's like you're talking about, oh my God, you know, I'm making mistakes. You know, friends say it's fine, but you know, like they're just saying I'm changing. And then for the instrumentation, I like guitars. Like I just like how guitars sound, so I want guitars in there, and I want a punchy kick because I like kicks. Like I want to hear that boom, boom, boom. And then, you know, little subtle shakers, like a little bit of never hurt anybody. And then the production style, you know, this is where you can also ask ChatGPT to explain to you what some of these terms mean. So like a really good way to do this, like if you're just completely starting out and you don't know anything about production at all, go listen to a song you like, and then get like a Google Doc and then write out like what you like about the song. Like, I like that the voice sounds really clear and crisp. I like that the kick is really punchy, but it doesn't hurt my ear, and it's also letting the vocals stay on top of the song. Write all that down, and then go to ChatGPT and say, hey ChatGPT, I have this song that I like. Here's why I like it. Can you describe to me in production engineer terms or sound design terms what is actually going on, or what you think is going on? And then you can kind of use those terms in this portion for the production style. So once you have all this, you can see I already have this filled out, like this part. We'll go to the advanced options. Now the advanced options are, you know, they're useful. You don't need to touch these if you don't want to. But what I do for this, and I will get rid of vocals because we do want vocals for this. This box right here is like the exclusion section. So this is stuff that you don't want to hear in the song. And so if you don't want to hear snares, you put snares here. If you don't want to hear piano, you'll put pianos here. I just say mud and gain because like mud, like, you know, when there's like a song, you'd be like, oh, it sounds kind of muddy, or there's too much gain. It's kind of when you, like, if you've ever played Call of Duty or you've been in a game lobby and somebody's screaming really loud, and it gets to that point where it's just like, oh my God, I gotta take my headphones off. That's like, you know, there's like too much gain. Like it's just like it's too loud, and it doesn't come out right because there's not enough like room for all the frequencies to like get through. At least is in my understanding of it. But you can put anything here, and then you have these three sliders. Weirdness and style influence will always be here because you have a style description box always there. And then weirdness, you can think about it as like how experimental it is. Like if I slide all the way here, it's like, okay, this is chaos mode. This is like whatever. And it's more unexpected, so it's less predictable. So I like to keep it around the safe zone, or maybe max. I'll put it in like, you know, the 70% range where it's like experimental results. And Suno does a great job by showing you, like with that little tooltip you saw, like where it's kind of in the safe zone and where it's in the experimental results zone. The next one is style influence. It's the same thing. So it's like moderate, strong, loose. I would say only put it loose if you find yourself making a bunch of outputs that sound the same, then just put it to loose. But I usually keep it around like 50 to 70% is probably fine. And then the audio influence, again, is like how strongly do you want the audio reference that you have all the way up here to influence your final output. I personally don't have a preference on this right now. I just play around with these sliders, to be honest. I think that's kind of part of the fun. But we'll leave it at moderate for now. And then we'll just call this like bat1. And we will generate some outputs and we'll see what it sounds like. Okay, so we have two outputs. Let's see what the first one sounds like.
I'm spiraling down, and can you blame me? Making mistakes while my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine and say I'm changing. If they knew, they'd think I'm batshit crazy.
Not bad. If you get something like, by the way, if you get something like this, like 21 seconds, instantly dislike it. Like, it's not worth your time. So I'm gonna generate a bunch more, and I'll come back to you after I've generated a few outputs, and then we'll just go through some that I thought were nice. Okay, so we have some outputs here, and so now what we're gonna do is we're going to kind of, like, I've listened to some of these, and I'm just gonna show you some that I thought were interesting. Also, this is a new one, so let's listen to this one too.
Me making mistakes when my youth is fading. They think I'm batshit crazy. Mistakes when my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine and say I'm changing. If they knew, they'd think I'm batshit. Mistakes when my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine and say I'm spiraling down, and can't you blame me? Making my camera ever face right, I'm nigga like shit. I'm spiraling down, and can you blame me? Making mistakes while my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine and say I'm changing. If they
Okay, so I'm gonna pick this one because this one sounds pretty nice. And so I'm gonna play it a bit further just to hear it. But the goal now is, with this song, what we're gonna do is we're going to get just the instrumental part. And I'll show you a bit on how we're gonna do that after we listen to it to see if this is the one we do want to use.
I know they think I'm batshit crazy. 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 I'm spiraling down, and can you blame me? Making mistakes while my youth, they think I'm back. You run my mind, yeah, I know there's no changing. If they knew, they think I'm batshit crazy. Wonder if I can't come on reading. Like you run my mind, yeah, I know there's no stirring.
Okay, so I'm gonna pick this one, and so like what you'll notice is I just want to listen through the rest because it starts saying gibberish there, and obviously it's like it's a 2-minute song, and we only have these lyrics, so the model probably filled in just random things. But what it also did is it progressed the song structure a bit, and so if we can just get the instrumental part, then we have like a, you know, an instrumental that has some movement to it that makes it sound a little bit more, you know, dynamic to the ear. Like, you don't want a song that's just like super repetitive and blah 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 because it's boring. Like, you want something that, you know, kind of gives the listener a bit of like, oh yeah, like now this is happening. Not too much, but just enough to make it sound interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this. I'm also going to copy the same style description, and I'm going to hit the three right dots here, and then I'm going to go to cover, and I'm going to make a cover of this, and I'm going to turn on the instrumental tab. And I'm also going to put in the exclusion, I'm going to say exclude vocals. So now, the idea here is that it will make a cover of this song, but just an instrumental version that is similar enough to what we just heard, but without the vocals. So I'm going to generate a few of those, and we're going to see how that sounds. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this one we like here. We're going to hit the right three dots, and I'm going to go to Get Stems. And now, if this was a song that I was going to, sing along to the vocals in this actual song, I would get all detected stems. But right now, I'm very interested in just the instrumental portion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to extract just the vocals and instrumental. And then we're going to take the instrumental, we're going to download it, we're going to upload it back to Suno, and then we're going to do a cover or remaster to make the quality better. And then hopefully that is close enough to what this sounded like that we can then use that for our own song. Okay, so now what you can do is you can just play each one to see what it sounds like. So
And can you blame me? Making mistakes while my youth is fading.
okay, sweet. So this is good enough for the video. So I'm going to download this WAV file, and now we're going to take that instrumental and then we're going to re-upload it back into Suno. And then we're going to maybe do a few like cover songs of the instrumental to see if we can get some better output or something. But if not, then we'll just use this. Okay, so now we are back and we've uploaded the the instrumental batshit, and we're gonna turn on the instrumental tab, and I'm literally gonna paste the same style description. And what I have this set to is a cover, and this is just so, in my experience, making covers of songs tend to make just better quality in general. I've tried remasters, but remasters either they make it different in a weird way that I don't like, or they just make it too like weak. Like it sounds too weak. So maybe that's something that I'm doing wrong. But anyways, what we're gonna do here in the exclusion is gonna add some of the things we don't want to hear. Like I don't want to hear vocals, I don't want to hear mud, I don't want to hear gain. And we'll put the weirdness to like safe zone, and we'll put the style influence to strong at first. And I will crank up strong for both of these just because I want to sort of keep that same sort of pattern that we have, that sort of rhythm. So I'll generate a few of these, and then I will come back once I've generated a few, and I'm also going to keep tweaking. Like I'll set some of these to loose as well. So like maybe we'll try like loose on everything. And we'll do one chaos. We'll like crank everything up just to see what that sounds like. And cool, so now I'm gonna listen to some of these and I'll show you some of the best ones after I'm done listening to them. Okay, so I had two that I liked for the reason that they didn't have any vocals. So if you hear some of these, it's like, it just sounds like better quality. Like the guitar, you can kind of hear like the shifting of the fingers, like the little slides on the guitars. So there's that one, and then I did like this one, even though it has vocals. I may actually just try to get the instrumental from this, because this one was cranked up on the weirdness, but just the subtle like crackling effects that you hear in the beginning I really liked. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to explain what I'm going to do after I download these stems, and then we'll get into that part and I'll show you some of that process. Okay, so we are pretty much kind of past stage 2 at this point. Like we've prompted and iterated a bunch. We've got some good instrumentals to work with. And now the part that we're kind of at is the 3 and 4 step. And again, this doesn't have to happen in this order. I just kind of thought of these as like the big 6 things that I think about when I'm thinking about making songs with Suno. So what I'm really going to do is, because I've only had that one part, like I only had the one part of the song, which was that little melody that we extended everything from, is I'm going to probably do the rambling part and also write the rest of the lyrics for the song. And then we can use the stems for that to sing over it, rap over it, or whatever. And then we'll have the final song. So I will show you part of that process. I'll probably just record myself doing my thing while I'm listening to them, and then you can just watch me do that. And if it's funny, I'm glad it's funny. If it's awkward, I know it's awkward because you're just kind of mumbling. You're like, blah, blah, blah. But it does help. And so I will show you that right now. All right, so now these are the stems. I have them extracted. I can just show you this is what it'll look like. And there's 2 versions, so you can select between these different versions. And I'm actually going to take version 2 because this other is kind of that ethereal thing, if you hear that. And I want more control when we're putting this in Ableton, because I can, like, it's already separated for me, so I can manipulate that a bit more to my liking, knowing that it's its own separate stem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download all of these. And I'm also going to download the full song. And now we're going to do the pretty much like the beat rambling portion, which is pretty much just me playing this, and then I'm going to just try to write the rest of the lyrics for it. So if I start from the beginning. Also, I should mention this too. This is something I forgot to mention. So when you're writing lyrics, for Suno, you use the meta tags. I've actually personally found that helpful for me in general to sort of tell my brain subconsciously, like as I'm reading the lyrics, like, okay, this is like a verse, this is the intro, and it kind of informs a bit, like, you know, just the structure of the song in general, where I want the chorus to be, where I want the bridge to be. So I like using the meta tag format just for like writing the songs anyways. So if you see me writing these brackets, that's why. So let me start playing the song again. Can you blame me? Face when my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine, I say I'm changing. They knew they'd think I'm as crazy. And now, kind of like, all right, here we go. Spiraling down, and can you blame me? Making mistakes when my youth is fading. Fine and say I'm changing. If they knew they think I'm magic crazy. I'm gonna say like, I say I'm fine, but always faking. You don't always have to make them rhyme like this, but I find it to be useful. That's the kind of my brain goes. I'm like, say I'm fine, but always faking. Say I'm fine, but I'm always thinking. And that's like where you start to like, it's like, I'm spiraling down and can you blame me? I say I'm fine, but I'm always faking. I say I'm fine, but I'm always faking. I try to get like the same sort of flow unless I'm trying to change it. Always giving but never taking. I say I'm fine but I'm always faking. Always giving but never taking. Maybe like talking. I'm trying to say something like talking to myself. I don't know what I'd say. Let's kind of hear it again. And honestly, too, like, where is it? Honestly, too, I'm just gonna play this where it's actually. Here it is.
I'm spiraling down and can you blame me? Make a mistake.
Here it is.
I'm spiraling down and can you blame me? Making mistakes when my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine and say I'm changing. If they knew they think I'm batshit crazy.
Say I'm fine but I'm always faking. Always giving but never taking. Talking to myself but always hating. Yeah. So I do like, because I like the opener like that, and I'm gonna say, I say I'm fine, I'm always faking, always giving but never taking, talking to myself. Oh, what I could say, like, say I'm brave but always shaken. Say I'm brave but always shaken. Told to love myself but still self-hating. Let's see how that sounds after you come in. Hold on.
Think I'm batshit crazy.
Say I'm fine but I'm always faking. Always giving but never taking. Told to love myself but still self-hating. And then we'll say, but feeling sad is so overrated. And I guess, what am I trying to say here? I'm like, yeah, like, I'm fine, but I'm not. But it's like, you don't need to be sad about it. That's overrated, you know? Don't be sad about it. That's just what it is. Okay, so let's hear the next part.
I'm spiraling down and can you blame me? Making mistakes for my youth is faded. Friends say it's fine and say I'm changing. If they knew they think I'm batshit crazy. Wonder if I can't come out reading. I can run my mind, yeah, I know this.
So what you'll see here is like, if I zoom in, so it's like the intro is like, you're saying the intro is the chorus, and then there's one verse, and then I'm gonna say this is the chorus. I'm guessing that's the chorus. It could change. And then this is gonna be the bridge, because that's where you hear kind of the beat switch up, right here. La, 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 la. So this is where we kind of have more free range, because like that's like where the vocals kind of like the lyrics are done, and it's just kind of like he's just kind of riffing, right? So alright, so we'll start. Fuck. Alright, here we go. So it's like, running down, but I can blame me. Making mistakes when my youth is fading. Friends is fine and say I'm changing. If they knew they'd think I'm batshit crazy. Say I'm fine, but I'm always faking. Always giving, but I'm never taking. Total of myself, but still self-hating. But feeling sad is overrated. Spiraling down, but can you blame me? Making mistakes when my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine, but I'm still changing. If they knew, they'd think I'm batshit crazy. What the fuck you think about da 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 da? I'm a da 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 da. I'm a go, I'm renegade, yeah, you know da 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 ba da ba da ba da. Da 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 da. Spiraling down, but can you blame me? Making mistakes when my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine, but I'm always changing. If they knew, they'd think I'm batshit crazy. Spiraling down, okay. So now, this is probably where like you're just gonna have to write stuff and just see what kind of makes sense. And again, like, so for my when I like to write lyrics, I like to try to make it sound somewhat cohesive in theme. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a story, like a chronological story, but I think the theme should be there. And I would use the verses and the bridges to kind of build more context around the chorus, is kind of like the way I think about it. Not all the time, but this is what I'm going to do for this one. So I'm going to keep writing this. So, that shit crazy. It might help to even hear this again. Hold on. Crazy. And like, I remember when it felt so easy. Nah. and I may I may time loop part some of this, or like time lapse some of this, because sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you don't know what you're gonna write, and you don't want to like force it as much. But like I remember when it felt so easy. Nah, that's not it. I'm like, I used to think the grass was greener on the other side. Now I know it's about the problems you. No. I used to think the grass was greener on the other side. Now I know. But it's about picking the problems that you want in life. Now I know it's. But it's about the problems that you want in life. Now I know it's about the problem. No, it's like now I know it's. Now I know we choose the problems we want in life. It's like, I used to think the grass was greener on the other side. Now I know we choose the problems we want in life. Used to think the grass was greener on the other side. Now I know we choose the problems we want in life. Yeah. It's like, yeah, like that. It's like, I used to think the grass was greener on the other side. Now I know we choose the problems we want in life. Used to care if what I did was always right. Do what you want, what I want. Used to care if what I did was always right, but now I'm on do what I. But now I'm on that do what I want before it. But now I'm on that do what I want before I die. It's like, yeah, like used to care about doing what, like if what I did was always right, but now I'm on that do what I want before I die. It's hard when you're stuck. It's hard. It's hard in the middle when you're stuck. It's hard in the middle. It's hard when you're stuck. Maybe we say this. It's hard when you're stuck on the chapter in between. No new friends, and the old ones don't believe. No light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, it's still hard to see. Let's hear this. Let's try this. So it's like. Okay. So. Used to think what grass was greener on the other side. Now I know I choose the problems we want in our life. Used to care if what I did was always right, but now I'm on that do what I want before I die. It's hard when you're stuck in the chapter in between. No new friends and the old ones don't even believe. No light at the tunnel, yeah, so hard to see. Stuck in between who I was and who I wanna be.
Shit crazy, spiraling down, and can you blame me? Making mistakes when my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine and say I'm changing. If they knew they think I'm bad shit crazy, yeah. And I don't wanna back, and I don't want them.
So yeah, so as you can see, like what I'm doing is like the bass like melody that I started with is still like the part that I like in the song, and I'm just kind of following the structure from like what the reference track has to offer. So it's like, okay, and then I build on the bridge based on like kind of like what the flow I hear the vocals saying, and like I'm not super tied to it. It's just more so I have something to like kind of written down, like I have a full set of lyrics to work with, and then I can tweak and adjust as I sing over it in Ableton. But we're pretty much close to it. We just have probably, I think, whatever, like a verse and a chorus left, a couple verses and a chorus left. So I'm on this part where it's like. La 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 la. Da 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 da. So it's like. So like it'd be like, and I really want them to understand, but I understand if they never can. Keep my head, stick to the plan. Keep my head down and stick to the plan, just to prove to myself that I really can. Okay. And I really want them to understand, but I understand if they never can. Keep my head down and stick to the plan. Damn, it's gonna be tricky. It's probably like this. We're just gonna hear the rest of the song. Can't you blame me? Making mistakes when my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine and say I'm changing. If they knew they think I'm batshit crazy. I'm spiraling down and can't you blame me? Making mistakes when my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine and say I'm changing. If they knew they think I'm batshit crazy. 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 Okay, so pretty much, so we have like a full lyric set almost. The only thing I don't have right now is like, there's just like one portion that I would probably be better off figuring out after I'm like already working on it. So what I'm going to do now is I have these lyrics and I have the stems. So now what I can do is I can open up Ableton and I can now like sing over and start to like put my own vocals on it. And this is kind of like the end part. So like I'll show you maybe a little bit like me doing that in Ableton, but really like the main goal of this video was just to kind of show you a lot of the stuff that I'm doing with Suno to get me to the point to where I'm now going into Ableton and like doing the post-production stuff to like get a final song. So I will show you that as well, like a little bit of like the behind the scenes, I guess, if you want to see, because it's part of the process. And then that'll probably be the end of the video, and I'll link both Google Doc, which is just kind of like a set of like different workflows that I've been experimenting with Suno. And if you're interested, you can join my Discord, where I'm just gonna be talking about like how I'm doing this stuff with Suno and stuff. And then that'll be pretty much the end of the video. So let's get into that part. Okay, so now I use Ableton. So if you don't use Ableton, I do apologize, but this is what I use. And this is just kind of like the project structure I like to use, which is just like in one folder I have the stems, in one folder I have the reference track. So first thing I'm going to do is drag and drop the reference track, and then I will add in the rest of the audio files as well. So let me cut to all those being added. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, when you drag an Ableton, it warps it. So you want to click on all these and unwarp it, because it's basically just like modifying it to, I believe, like the time signature, which is like default 120. Not going to lie, I don't even really look at the time signature, because I just assume the song is, like, the song is the song, right? So these are all of the different elements in the stems that belong in this instrumental. So I group those, and I'm just going to play this to see if it lines up right. So this is what the whole instrumental will sound like. And now what I want to make sure is that this lines up perfectly, so I shouldn't hear any like conflicting sounds or anything that sounds a little off. And you see that it is. So just something to be aware of is Suno's stems can sometimes like be a little bit off from the original, like in terms of like there may be extra like blank space on the start, so you need to make sure that it's the same like as the original reference track. So I'm going to play this through and make sure that it's all lined up. Okay, and it's all lined up. So now the next thing I do pretty much after this is I'll just make vocal recordings. So this is where I would do the whole thing, like blah blah blah, like and we'd have the final song. This may take longer than the video for me to finish that, but I can maybe just show like some behind the scenes of me doing that. But yeah, so other than that, that's probably the video. But other than that, that's pretty much the video. So if you're interested, you could check out the Google Doc, and you can join my Discord if you want to learn more about how to use Suno to your benefit. And I will also say, and this is something that I do want to kind of say at least at the end of the video, I probably should have said at the beginning, because maybe people didn't watch all the way through and they might not see me saying this, but I know that like AI is like, it's coming. Everybody's like, oh my god, it's going to replace everybody. But in my opinion, I still, like, I prefer listening to artists that I know are real humans. And this isn't me saying, like, you should never work with other people or not learn how to produce music or not collaborate with other people. But I see this as a way to, kind of like the way that, like, Ableton enabled more people to make music, just from their bedroom instead of needing a studio. I think Suno is allowing more people an entry point into making music. And say like, like you don't have all the resources available to you, but if you have Suno to kind of make your tracks for you and you want to make songs and put those out, this process can increase your total output, which if you know that kind of story of the guy that made like one class, like try to make one piece of pottery for the whole class versus the other students that made, was like 1,000 different pieces or something. It was like some absurd number. It's like you just do it over and over again, and then you start to get a sense through all of your mistakes and all of your, like, frankly, shitty music, what is actually working and what's not. And so I think Suno is kind of letting you do that as well. So if you're starting out and you're just trying to make music and you don't know who to collaborate with, you don't know how to produce, you don't have the money to go into a studio, you don't have any of that. You don't have money to buy a beat. I mean, you could buy a beat as well. I think you should still do that if you can. But Suno can just help you quickly iterate on like what sound is yours and what you really like to enjoy. And then, if you get to a point where you're making music and you're like, oh my God, like somebody's like, oh, I want to make music with you, I would most definitely go and make music with them. I wouldn't just stick to using Suno on your own. I think this is just meant to be a supplement and expands the scope of like the music space in general. So what I don't want people to come away from this video from is like saying like, I don't need to work with anybody. I don't need anything except for Suno to make music ever in my life. Because honestly, I would probably prefer making music with a person only for the experience of just like, yeah, like I get to make music with another person and then it's like, oh my God, like that's fun. So keep that in mind, and use Suno more as like your testing canvas and your taste canvas where you can just iterate faster and start to see what you like and what you don't like. And yeah, so that's pretty much the video. So if you enjoyed it, you can comment. If you hated it, if you hate what I'm doing, you can comment that too. Like, leave your thoughts. I actually am genuinely curious what people think about this kind of stuff because I get mixed signals from different people. And yeah, till next time, much love and peace, y'all.
Spiraling down, and can you blame me? Making mistakes when my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine and say I'm changing. If they knew, they'd think I'm bad shit crazy. Say I'm fine but I'm always faking. Always giving but never taking. Total love myself but self-hating. But feeling sad is so overrated. Spiraling down, can you blame me? Making mistakes while my youth is fading. Friends say it's fine, say that I'm changing. If they knew, they'd think I'm bad shit crazy.